Welcome to the ACE podcast, the Authentic Conscious Entrepreneurs. Here we go. We're ready to record another episode. Last week, we had an amazing session where Christina and I talked about sales. And of course, we learned that we are always selling. There was so much for me to discuss, and we thought we will definitely be doing a part two of sales, which no doubt we will, but not today because I think Christina's really keen to get on with another topic that we've been busting to talk about right back from our episode 1. This came up. So I'm Amir Zogi, as you probably are aware, and I'm just going to welcome our co-host, or my co-host, Christina Tyndall from Los Angeles. Welcome, Christina.
Thanks, Amir.
How you going?
Yes. Yeah, I'm good. And you're right. I am eager to talk about something you mentioned in the first episode today. I love that we're getting into some bits that are practical for folks who are tuning in. And there's something that has stayed with me since that first episode about balance and how I can just speak from my own experience that sometimes if I get really excited about something in business, I will just get tunnel vision and give everything to that. And then other areas of my life sort of fall out of balance. And and so I admire the balance that I see you portray and how, it seems like nothing around you goes unnoticed. I don't know why that's a word that comes up where you notice all the little things. And so I wanted to bring this question to you, how balance plays a role for you in your life, in your business. And also maybe you could share a little bit about how you came to, find that balance.
Well, I feel that balance is our fuel. And anytime, and we spoke about in this way back in episode 1, it wasn't that way back, but it was way back, that, an entrepreneur, we're talking about success. What does it really mean to be a successful entrepreneur? And to me, I was like, becoming a successful entrepreneur is not just you ticking the boxes off and hitting your goals and, your targets and your financial goals and your business growth and all that jazz. Because for you to become successful as an entrepreneur, you want to have balance in your life. So you want to also have some success in your relationships. You don't want to be a successful entrepreneur and you're on the verge of a heart attack. Well, that's not really success. All right, because you're gonna die. You're not gonna last. You're not gonna, So health becomes a very big part of it, and I think health is critical. So definitely, I will be doing a podcast episode around health, and so to me, an entrepreneur or the real success of an entrepreneur is measured by themselves. No one else has to measure it. The measurement comes from themselves, but they need to look not just in their entrepreneur or in their business and the success they're attaining in their business. They need to look in all other areas of their life. So they need to look at the relationship. Maybe that's a relationship, with their peers or the business partners, or relationship with their partner, the romantic relationship with your kids. In fact, to me, everything is a relationship. Even money, you have a relationship with that, which again, another conversation for another time. But you want to look at your relationships. You want to look at your health, your vitality. Do you have energy, right? Or are you running out of energy? So they're really key parts. Your success is not just measured in what you do in your business. It's how what you do in your business is portrayed in other areas of your life as well. So you want to reflect or review that and to find true success. So, but to pick up where we are today, I was just revisiting session number 1, episode number 1. To pick up where we are today, to me, balance is your fuel, because the moment you have no balance in your life, you start running on empties, right? And because when you're balanced, it energizes you. When you've got, sometimes we go to work and we got to shut out the stuff that's not going on right in our life. You know, we have health issues or we have relationship issues, and we need to like, "Oh, I'm here to work. I need to focus." You know, and some people become very good at doing that, and you got to be good at doing that. But wouldn't it be good that where you didn't need to do that because you have a nice balance in other areas of your life, so it's not causing you to have this internal voice or internal noise that's going on and going, "I've got problems in my relationship." Wouldn't it be nice to make sure that that's balanced? So to me, you know, balance is key to anyone's success. But I want to talk about today, I guess, when we're talking about balance, is balance starts with you. Because we think, "Oh, okay, oh yeah, you're right. You know what, Amir, I've got to work on my relationship. I'm struggling with my relationship with my wife or my husband or my partner, or I'm struggling with my relationship with my kids." And we think, "Well, I've got to work with that." But really, the balance actually starts with you being in balance. And here's a key, I guess, ideal that I've been living by. You know, it was something that my mother taught me when I was younger. And because when I first started in my business, you know, you fall in love with what you do. You're passionate about what you do. And you're like, "Well, I love what I do. So then, you know, I'm going to put 23 hours or, you know, okay, maybe not that much, maybe 25. Oh, sorry, not 25. There's no 25 hours. maybe 19 hours of the day I'm going to put into my business because I'm just so passionate about it and I love it." So, but that's still draining the fuel out. Like even though you think, "Oh, no, but I'm feeling energized every time I'm doing this," it just doesn't last. Okay. Because one key element that is imperative for you to have right is actually sleep. Believe it or not. I know that's these days they talk about, or maybe not these days. I think it's actually changing quite a lot. Maybe it's the old thinking where, you know, well, you don't need to sleep. You know, sleep is, we're business people, we're entrepreneurs, you know, or we're successful people, we're hustling, you know, we're hustlers. You know, we don't need sleep. Yeah, you do. You need sleep. And there's a reason why we as human beings sleep and require sleep. You know, it's because it's part of who we are. It's part of what makes us human, right? And sleep is essential, even though some people will justify and argue that point. There's lots of research that goes into it, which I'm not going to go into today. But I think if you can't get 8 hours sleep, you see, this is what my mother taught me. You know, she says there's 24 hours in the day. Okay, you have 8 hours for sleep. You have 8 hours for work. And you have 8 hours for yourself and family. So whether that's your passions, your health, you know, spending time with the family and all that jazz. So it's split up into thirds. That's what makes up the 24 hours. So for you to bring balance into all areas of your life, you want to start looking at yourself and how you're living that balance. Are you getting 8 hours? Now, I know we don't always get 8 hours sleep. I understand. You know, we've got to get up early in the morning. Okay, we'll go to bed earlier, I should say. But there's things going on. You know, you have kids and you have a newborn. And I know it doesn't always happen, but average it out. You know, over your lifespan, over the 12 months, over 2 years, even if you had to break it down, right? I got this Aura ring that I wear, which... you know, sometimes I wear it as my wedding ring as well. But so this measures all my sleep, you know, how I sleep, how effective my sleep was, my REM sleep, my deep sleep. And, you know, to me, I think there's a lot of importance in sleep. So average it out. You know, are you having an average of 8 hours sleep every night? Okay. Work, you know, I know I get sucked into my work because I love it. I'm passionate about my product. I'm passionate about my service and I love doing it. But again, average it out. Are you doing an average of 8 hours a day? Right? And if you work out 8 hours a day, you know, you maybe you work 5 days a week, right? And then if you think to yourself, "Oh no, well, I work 7 days a week," right? Well, again, you're going to fall out of balance, right? So 8 hours, it's 8 hours sleep, 8 hours work. And again, sometimes you got something on, you know, you do 10 hours, you do 12 hours. take some time back off. Maybe then the next week, do a shorter day. So if you can average that out where you're only working 8 hours and then the play, you 8 hours time is for you and whatever interest you have and whatever, if it's family, it's family. It's 8 hours with family. It's 8 hours for your health. I mean, not the entire 8 hours. Like I personally go to the gym twice a day, 4 days a week. And on the 5th day, I go one time. And then on 2 days a week, I take rest from the gym. But, as part of my 8 hours, 2 hours of that in some of the days is dedicated to going to my wellness, to the gym. I go in and train. I've got a personal trainer, or I go to a Pilates class, etc. Okay? So when I say it's 8 hours for yourself, it's the things that you do for yourself, whether that is spending time with the family. And then you think to yourself, well, I do that for the family. Well, you do it for yourself as well, because family is important for you. So you put time into your family. So if you don't have that key imbalance, if it's like somewhere in your life, there's always going to be like fuel leaking. I use fuel because, obviously I'm a pilot. And one of the worst things that you can have is a fuel leak, right? But one of your fuel tanks, so in an airplane, you have different fuel tanks. One of the tanks is just leaking fuel. And before you know it, your health is just deteriorating. It's just leaking fuel, right? And before you know it, it's out of fuel. And, the warning alarms go off. Beep, beep, beep. That's what happens in the cockpit. All right, oh, what's going on here? My fuel's getting low in my auxiliary tanks. Yeah, my fuel's getting low in my health, for example. All right, what's the warning bell? You're getting sick. What's the other warning bell? You're getting stressed. What's the other warning bell? Hey, doctor needs to talk to you. You've got a concerning rash or disease, or if you don't look after that, the warning bells will go off. That fuel tank could be your relationship. It could be a relationship with yourself. You're not spending enough time with yourself. You're not spending enough time with your children. But the auxiliary or the warning lights in the cockpit go off as soon as there's something going wrong. It just gives you a heads up. And that's what life does. Usually life gives you a heads up before it goes completely empty. So in the cockpit, it's like beep, beep, beep. You're low on fuel on your left fuel tank. And you're like, what's going on there? I shouldn't be low on the fuel. And you have a look. And that's what life does. It's kind of gives you a bit of warnings. And usually it's, somebody says something happens. And we try to push all that away so we can push on. But we need to be alert to those warnings and just get our life back in balance. Now, furthermore to balance, I think discipline plays a huge role in order to be in balance. But I don't know if we go into that today. Let's see where we go, because that could be another conversation, but we might actually head into that today. But yeah, does that make sense, what I'm saying, Chrissy?
Yeah, it does. And the people that are listening in for this and what we're talking about here is being authentic, conscious entrepreneurs, right? So we're looking for a different idea of success than, all of this numbers and results and things like that. And so what you're speaking about I feel like it's coming actually back to the last conversation we had for me a little bit around sales, where it was like that comes down to the connection you have with yourself.
Yeah.
And so, I know that for me, or like maybe some listeners can relate to this. It's like, oh, well, I strive for balance, but I'm falling short in these areas. And so I'm just thinking in mind for the listeners of like, how did you, because I know that you don't like fixate on making things in balance. Like you found that naturally and through having that connection with yourself and listening to your intuition. And so I'm wondering if you can speak a bit more on just like how that balance like took shape in your life.
Well, like we've discussed and what you've been talking about just there, is that the balance is there because I focus on bringing myself into balance. So, it's, I don't look at, it's like everything comes back to yourself. I look at how am I out of balance? Because if my life seems out of balance, it's because I'm out of balance with what I do. It's, am I getting 8 hours sleep? Again, someone's going to go, well, no, I got to focus on my results because my results are out of balance. So if I focus more on pushing my results, then I'll get back into balance. No, your results are out of balance and you require to push them because you're out of balance. So for me, it's all about, if you want to get your life in balance, you want to get yourself. We are energy beings. That's what we are. Yes, we're physical beings, but what makes us who we are is energy. And we want to find balance in our energy. Now, and there's only 3 areas that I know that what you have to focus on. Number one, I just go back to sleep. Sleep, work, and play. They're the and again, play is, when I say play, it's you. It's placing your attention on yourself and the things that you do for yourself, whether it's health, your passions, you're learning a new language, I don't know, your family, all the things that you love for yourself. So outside of work, do you know how many times I meet someone who's outside of work, they don't have any passions? This is what I'm passionate about. Find something. Find something, because you need to do things for yourself. And one of the biggest things that I do for myself, by the way, if I was to put on top of the list, I mean, besides health, right? But right up there with health is spending time with myself. Now, that doesn't mean spending time walking with my partner or spending time, going to the beach with, going for I mean like spending time with myself to reflect. Just to, anytime I stop doing that, I start to notice that I lose my connection with other areas of my life. My sleep is not as good. How my ideas don't flow as well. My productivity starts to fall away. Like, it's things, whenever I notice that things are deteriorating, I go back to the basics. And going back to the basic is, what am I doing with my health? What am I doing with spending time on my own? Now, again, most people think, well, what am I doing to make my partner happier, to make my kids happy? They're important. But like we spoke about recently in a previous podcast, in an emergency in an aircraft, the oxygen mask fall from the ceiling, and they say, put the mask on yourself first before you assist your children. Okay? So when I look at basics, I look at, am I spending time? I'm not talking about going to the beach by yourself just for a swim, although that's wonderful. I mean just sitting and just being present with yourself. And maybe, I like to call it pondering, but maybe some people call it reflecting. Just reflecting on how you feel about yourself, reflecting about how you feel about your life, how you feel about where your life is headed. And then you start to notice some ideas, and a deepening happens, a deepening of connection. Now, in previous sessions, we've talked about, we talked about conscious entrepreneurship. And in a recent episode, I think that was called the Conscious Entrepreneur. And we talked about that, the deeper you go within yourself, the less you feel reactive to what's going on the surface, and the more you're free, or the more you free yourself to respond to what's happening on the surface rather than reacting. Okay? So one of the things that help us to deepen that connection with ourselves is to be in balance. So the way I like to explain it is being on a seesaw. When you're on a seesaw, you take your kids to the park, you jump on the seesaw, you're sitting at the very ends of the seesaw. So what happens when one person goes up, the other person goes down, and you have this fun little experience of playing the seesaw game, up and down, up and down. But sometimes I get one of my other kids who jump in the middle, right? Why do they jump in the middle? Because their feet move up and down. Why? Because they're right in the center. So when you're deeper connected with yourself, when you're finding that balance in your life, you're giving yourself the opportunity to fall deeper within yourself. And again, what does that mean, deeper with yourself? It's just deeper connection. deeper connection with yourself. So what happens when you're on the edge of the seesaw is that the up and down is far greater. And that's what we call life's roller coaster. We move up and down. That's what happens. And some people just go, that's life's roller coaster. Yes, it is. And yes, that will always take place. But it doesn't take place the same way for everybody. Because some people are not on the edge of the seesaw. Some people, they have their life well balanced. And they get closer to the seesaw, to the middle of the seesaw, I should say. And what happens as you move closer to, like if you imagine my arm here at the very edge, it's greater ups and down. But what happens if you can draw yourself closer to the center? Suddenly the up and down becomes less. Now the up and down, don't get me wrong, is still happening, but your experience of it, the up and down becomes less and less. Ultimately, what happens when an individual goes and stands in the middle of the seesaw, like my son does, right? Suddenly, your feet is just moving up and down, but you're not. You see? So life is still happening around you and life is still moving up and down, but there is a neutrality, if you like, which we call emotional intelligence, right? Now, that doesn't happen unless you find balance. So, balance is, again, it's not just the fuel, but it also provides the clarity. It also provides the vision. And ultimately, that's what gives you that emotional intelligence. But again, we look at, my life is like, if someone's listening to this podcast, they think to themselves, well, my life is out of balance, so then I need to go spend more time with my relationship. I need to go spend more time on my health. Yes, you do. But ultimately, you got to understand that balance that you're looking for, you need to find in yourself. All right. So one of the things, this is what I do. Again, and now we're getting kind of into discipline because I feel balance and discipline kind of go hand in hand. It's like the left hand and the right hand, right? They work very closely together. Whenever I want to do anything great, like I have a big opportunity that's landed in front of me. I have maybe a new job, new business, new product launch. There's something I'm doing that's, maybe putting me outside of my comfort zone. The first thing I do, Christina, is I look at where can I discipline myself? Because discipline is what draws me closer to balance. Back in the days, I remember there was a point in my life when I was starting a brand new business. And the first thing I did is I just signed up to the gym. And I made myself go to a 6 a.m. class every morning, right? Or most mornings, right? So to me, it wasn't about being healthy, although going to the gym was making me healthy. It was that I found it myself a discipline and that I actually ticked that off, all right? So personally, that's what I've done in the past is that anytime I want to do something great, I look at where do I need more discipline. Sometimes I cut sugar out. Sometimes I cut alcohol out. Sometimes I just look for something because the moment you say you're going to do something and you do it, it sharpens your wheel. And it doesn't matter what it is, right? You think to yourself, I'm going to start the gym and I'm going to do that because I'm going to become healthier. That's cool, right? That's part of balance. But now I'm talking about discipline, right? You want to find something that you say you're going to do and you want to do it because when you do what you say you're going to do, you sharpen your will. Your willingness becomes strengthened. And that's something that we need as entrepreneurs. That's something we need as human beings is will. Now, guess what happens if you say you're going to do something and you don't do it? It blunts. Right? You lose the sharp. It does the exact opposite. So if you say, I'm going to start going to the gym every 6 a.m. every morning, or I'm going to cut sugar out, or I'm going to start, the moment you say that and you don't do it, and this is why this is very important that you do it. The moment you say that and you don't do it, you're actually causing harm on yourself because there's a part of you that observes yourself. And you call it your unconscious mind. I like to call it the monkey on my shoulder, right? But call it your unconscious mind or your subconscious mind or whatever you want to call it. But there's a part of you that observes. And when you say, hey, I'm going to do this and you don't, it loses its belief. It loses its willingness. It loses its strength. And then what happens is that next time you say, I'm going to do something, that part of you, call your unconscious mind, like I said, my monkey on my shoulder, it says, no, you're not. And you're like, yeah, I am. I'm going to do this. It says, no, you're not, because you didn't do it last time. And it remembers all the times that you said you're going to do something and you didn't do it. But vice versa. When you do what you say you're going to do, not because it's right or wrong or because you told someone else. This has got nothing to do with anyone else. This has got to do with yourself. When you say you're going to do something and you do it, then guess what happens? The monkey watches. And then next time that you say, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start this new idea, right? And your brain goes, oh, it's not going to be possible, right? There's a part of you that goes, no, but it is for me. I can do it. And you will believe that. You will believe it's your subconscious mind. You're going to believe it because your subconscious mind has got all these different reference points of times that you said you're going to do something and you did do it. And even though in the story, in your circumstances, in your positioning, it looks like it's not possible. And people will go, hey, it's not possible. It's not possible to do that. In your mind, you'll think, yeah, but it is for me. There's a little voice, and we've all had moments of that. There's a little voice. We had it when we were younger, when we didn't have as many, I'm going to do this and I didn't do it moments. We have this, yeah, but it is for me. I can do it. It's going to work out for me. All right? And that's why we should always trust ourselves when it comes to making a decision, based on what we feel to do, right? But trust you feel the possibility. Someone else says it's not possible because in their mind, it's not possible. Because in their mind, maybe it's not for them to do that. Or in their mind, maybe they've been doing a lot of saying they're going to do something and not actually doing it. So their unconscious mind going, it's just not possible. And they're going, well, these are the facts. It's just not possible. Right? But how many times have we done something that wasn't possible? I mean, we're soon going to travel to Mars. How many times human beings have now run faster than they've ever have before? Like it wasn't possible. Remember what was his name? The gentleman who broke the, it was an 8-minute mile or whatever it's called. I forget, and you don't remember either. So
I don't remember.
But that's a famous story. And but the doctors said it's not possible for you to run that fast. But he believed he could, right? Why did he believe he could, right? What makes someone believe that they can? Because there is a balanced mind and there is a part of them that observes themselves doing what they say they're going to do. And when you do what you say you're going to do, often enough, you begin to believe yourself. Even though something is not possible, you believe it is. And that's all that matters. Okay. Now, what does discipline and balance have in common? Well, you can't find discipline you can't find discipline unless you find some balance, and you can't find discipline unless you find balance, and you can't find balance unless you have some discipline. It's just one of those things where you're like, which one comes first, the chicken or the egg? And you can't answer, well, I don't know which one came first. Both. That's why I said it before. It's the left and the right hand. They come in pairs. It's if you want to find balance, you need discipline. If you want to find discipline, you need some balance. Right? The more balanced you are, the more easier you find that you're disciplined. So it's one of those things. So that's why I've talked about that. But maybe we can actually leave a little challenge for our listeners. We could do that this episode, or we could do it the next one. I don't know how much time we have. We have enough time, yeah?
Yeah, we do.
So here's the thing. I've done this with many of my coaching clients, and I'd like to set a challenge for you guys. And I'd love to hear about, and we're doing a podcast here, so I'd love somehow for you to reach out and maybe converse with us about how the challenge has gone. But what I do with my coaching clients is when I'm trying to teach them about this very theory that I'm talking to you guys about balance and also about discipline, is I get them to pick a discipline. So I say to them, guys, what I want you to do is I want you to pick something that you're going to start doing that you're not already doing. Okay? And then let's just start with that. So they need to pick something that they're not already doing, and I want them to do that for the next 30 days. So it becomes like a 30-day challenge. All right? Now, this discipline isn't necessarily related to a goal. In fact, I think it's far more effective if it's not related to a goal. So if you wanted to lose weight and you go, oh, I'm going to start the gym, well, that's related to a goal you have. I want you to pick something that might not even be related to a goal. The reason that's important is because then you make what you're doing purely about that. Your attention's not going on the goal. Your attention's not going on the result. Your attention goes on the process. Now, here's the other thing. The very thing you pick can't be too easy, but it also can't be too hard, because it's important that whatever you pick, you do it no matter what. Why? Because the monkey's watching, right? So I say if it was a discomfort, because whatever you're picking is going to be a discomfort potentially. I'm going to stop sugar, for example. There's some discomfort because you're used to eating sugar, right? I'm going to stop alcohol for a month. Well, there's a discomfort because you're used to, going out or having dinner and having, there's some kind of discomfort. But the discomfort level shouldn't be a 10 out of 10, and it shouldn't be a 0 out of 10. So if 0 or 1 out of 10 is the lowest discomfort and 10 out of 10 is the highest discomfort, you want to find a 6 or a 7. Right? Some people, now you got the high achievers going, I can do a 10 out of 10 because I'm very disciplined. Here's the thing. I'm sure you can, but if for whatever reason you fail and you don't do that, the monkey's watching, and it's going to have the opposite effect. And the monkey's going, you said you're going to do it and you didn't. Again, this is happening in your unconscious mind. All right, it's not like you're having this conversation with yourself. It just watches you. So that's why I tell people to pick a 6 or a 7. All right, 6 or 7 is enough discomfort to make you stretch and get outside of your comfort zone, and it's not too high to ensure that you absolutely commit to this. So for 30 days, I want you to start doing something that you're not already doing. Remember, it doesn't have to be related to a goal. In fact, it's far more effective if it's not related to a goal. You're just picking something that it would cause a 6 or 7 out of. Now, most people go, well, wouldn't it be far more effective if it was related to a goal? It can be, but then your attention goes on the goal and go, well, how much weight have I lost? And you forget the process, because this activity or challenge is purely about the process. It's not about the result. It's about who you're becoming. It's about sharpening your willingness. It's not about the result. It's not about the result today. It's about the result later on. This is strengthening a muscle in your psyche, if you like, in your soul, right? So that's the first part. And if you're really advanced, we'll do the second part as well. If you really want to go, oh no, I'm a go-getter, I want to really do this challenge. Well, the second part of the challenge is to find something that you're already doing that you're willing to give up. In other words, to stop doing. Okay, now if you smoke, and to stop smoking is a big discomfort and 10 out of 10, just going cold, don't pick that, right? Again, it could be, I'm going to stop eating sugar. I'll be off bread for 30 days. I'm going to stop going to bed past midnight. I don't know. Like, it's
give up TV for 30 days.
Absolutely. Give up social media for 30 days. I had a bunch of people do that, and it was very hard. They were like, it was like just a little side story here. Like I remember these guys were doing 30 days off social media, and I did it with them. And what I would notice is I'd go to the coffee shop, I'd get my coffee, and I would pop up my social media and I'd be on it. I'm like, and I noticed that I did it unconsciously. And I was like, wow, I'm doing this challenge with these guys where I said, hey, I'm going to be 30 days off social media, and unconscious, I didn't even make a decision. And I'm on the do you see what I mean? Becomes an unconscious muscle. So, and then I would have to start. So what the rule was that if you broke the 30 days, you start from the beginning. So if you imagine you break it on the day 29, you start all over again. So yeah, it could be. So basically, again, a discomfort level, you want a 6 or 7, nothing less, nothing more. Just in that between, a little bit higher than 5. So 6 or 7 is just I found the perfect formula. And what's the discomfort? Who measures the discomfort? Well, you ask yourself the question, well, out of 1 or 0, 0 to 10, what discomfort would it cause me if I stopped doing this for 30 days? And it's the answer that comes to you. You trust your own answer, okay? No one can really measure that. But you just pick a 6 or 7 and you go with it. So this is a really powerful process. Again, it's not about the result, the outcome. It's about the process, and it's about who you're becoming. It's about you sharpening your willingness. And again, you naturally find that when you're finding, you're doing this, you find a discipline that you're going to stop doing. You find a discipline that you're going to start doing. You just find balance starts to come in. Or maybe your openness or willingness to find yourself in balance starts to happen. There's a balance that you start to find in yourself, and you know what it feels like when you find yourself in balance, you feel good about yourself. Like energetically, there's a vibration that you're like, ooh, I feel good. And it's the same with a discipline. When you say you're going to do something and you do it, you feel great, right? Sometimes people say, I'm going to do the gym thing, right? Which is one that I actually did. When I did this with my clients, I actually ended up losing overall 18 kilos, 20 kilograms over a 6-month period, because I started this with my clients, and one of my things was the gym. And I started going to the gym, and before I knew it, I just continued. It wasn't just for 30 days. Ended up doing it for 6, 12 months. In fact, I'm still on that boat. That was years ago. So yeah, again, you're going to notice that when you're in balance, you feel energized. When you say you're going to do something, you feel energized. Now you think to yourself, well, because I went to the gym and that's why I'm in it. Yes, physically you feel energized because the blood's pumping and you got more oxygen. And so yes, physically, but soulfully as well, you feel light. It's almost like I would probably use the word energized again. Like within your soul, you feel like, I don't know.
Alive.
That's it. You feel alive. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Christina. Yeah, you feel alive. So physically you feel energized, and soulfully you feel alive because you said you're going to do it, and you do it, and you keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and there isn't one day that you stop doing it. So pretty powerful process that I do with my coaching clients. It's obviously an amazing challenge if you can do it with a group. And maybe we'll set that challenge one day again with and have a group doing it together.
Yeah, I'm thinking what we can do is make a social media post about it, so that if people decide to do this challenge on their own, they can say something in the comments about how they're going. So when this episode airs, we'll put something out. So come find us on socials and let us know how you're going. Such a good process.
Yeah, amazing.
And I really love this conversation today because I feel like it's so aligned with what we've been talking about. You've shared about how a true entrepreneur has the capacity to find comfort in the discomfort or certainty in the uncertainty. And I feel like balance is such a huge part of that. When you're in the middle of that seesaw, you find that in there's ebbs and flows, but you have the capacity because you have that balance. And then the sharpening of your will just feels like such a huge piece that we brought in today. And I love that you've given everyone something practical to do for that, because that is going to be so powerful. If you all actually commit to that, we would love to hear how that goes. So I think that's all we have time for today, but I just also want to remind everyone to please subscribe, write a review if you can. Let us know how you're enjoying the podcast. And of course, you have the email askaz@amirzogi.com. to contribute, what would you like for us to share on future podcasts? If there's a process you're going through, if there's a question you have for Amir, send that through because we'd love to hear from you.
Well, in particular with this challenge that we're doing, that you could even email us at askaz@amirzogi.com. You can actually email us how your challenge is going, and this is what I've picked, and this is how I'm going. I'm on day 12 or day 7 or day 15 or day 30. Let us know how it goes. It's, like I said, I know I've seen people get an amazing result from that little challenge that we do. And it's not that little, actually. It's quite a big challenge. It's changed a lot of people's lives. It's changed a lot of things about myself when I do that. But I hope people understand the importance of balance from this conversation, and understand that it's the balance. The first person or the first thing that you want to look at when it comes to balancing is yourself. And again, I'm just going to highlight that 8 hours sleep, because I know people think, oh no, it's not that important. I still feel, they get up and they go, I still feel fine. Yeah, but there's a bit of fuel leak happening,
That could be one of someone's challenges they give themselves.
Yeah,
See how, yeah. Well, thank you so much for this today, Amir. Amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.